Sup Shredders, my name is Logan, aka Spiderhands, and welcome to SP Reviews, where today we have ourselves some tracks off of an album titled Dat Youngin Dee, from an act named Yung Dee. And if we switch over to here, we're going to be listening to 3 tracks today. We've got Time to Eat, Bass is Loaded, and Until We Bleed. And we're going to listen through each of these tracks from start till finish. I'm going to hear what we think. Let's go. What an alternative. I like the Pac-Man sounds, they're kind of dope.
When the competition low, you end up dragging both your feet. Losing inside of your plan, now your vision's getting weak. Now your stomach starts to turn and then you start to feeling meat. Going in survival mode and all you want to do is eat.
Okay, so we're talking about survival mode and eat, that sort of like core context of the human condition there. I'm digging it. I'm liking the interesting, the interesting percussion and that nice bass resonance there, and how the vocals are side pan like that and double track. That's really cool. Some little fuzzy, sort of sizzly little pads in there as well. It's kind of nice. A little bit of atmosphere in there. Oh, okay. Don't even trust myself, going back against the wall. So things aren't going particularly well, are they?
I can't sleep, I ain't slept in about a week. I don't know just what you're doing, but I know it's time to eat. Time to eat, time to eat. Now I'm back up on my feet. Had to take some time for self. Watch me grow just like a tree. Try to stand up on my branches, I just call you Tweedledee. Feeling like I'm TLC. It was always meant to be. Got a couple people riding like they walking through the sand. Got a red-headed bitch, pepper red, pepper red. Hard to trust too many people, everybody got a plan. I was calling with the light and it got darker with a tan. Now I'm right.
It's nice to hear him sort of developing and growing as a human being and stuff like that, physically and otherwise as well, you know. So I assume this is about finding that hunger to sort of survive and continue and stuff like that. Things improved maybe since he was young.
You don't get a pass. Now I'm in first, coming from last. Shot the whole world, just like a blast. Now I get loot, oops, I mean cash. Play with my money, I'm all on your ass. I hear voices in my head telling me I need to bow. I don't even trust myself. Nope, my back against the wall.
Bum 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 ba 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 ba. We got that repetition of that rhythm there. It helps to get it stuck in your head. It's a nice rounded hook as well. Kind of cements the hook line for the time to eat, as well as the context needed to understand it. And good job having the drums come out at this point. We don't really need more of those. I mean, like, the drums are cool, but yeah, having change is good too. Cool. Don't know what you're doing, but it's time to eat. Okay, cool. I dig it. Nice. Yeah, I think this is basically introducing us to Yung Dee and getting us started on the story of their growth and development from like child to adult. Yeah, it's a really solidly produced track. Nice level of studio production there as well. Nice and polished. And you know, again, I mentioned bass resonance before. It's actually relatively smooth. Getting an 808 that tight in there without it sort of resonating or having sort of awkward stuff in there isn't a particularly easy thing to do. But, you know, Yung Dee handles it really well. So really great start, and I'm liking the call and response just before we move on. We have like the main lines, and he kind of answers back as well, which is kind of cool with little repetitions of the last words and stuff. But Bass is Loaded, track number 2.
Once again, here we go. Had to set up shop, now I'm selling out the stove. Waiting on the drop, had to keep it on the low. Now I'm back at you live with the bass fully loaded like whoa. Welcome to the show. Please take a seat in a minute, good to go. Time to get it started like a baseline. Shout to move your waistline. You gon' get yours before I get mine.
Dope. Really slick. So a different kind of groove to the last one. A little more serious with this one, I think. But I'm like the bells tolling for thee. you know. Yeah, the words are coming through clearly. Great sort of pronunciation there. Very sort of experienced. And having the oscillation of the wah pedal and just having the percussion like kind of sort of take a break for a minute allows this part of the accompaniment to float alongside the vocals. You know, it's great change within the track.
Niggas gon' remember me. Came up from the bottom to the top like a jungle tree. I'm making hella cheese. D is the name, ain't no need for a spelling bee. Time to go get it, no strikes on the gap.
You use the name, no need for a spelling bee. I dig that. The wordplay is strong as well. Gotta stay on the grind, trying to feed the whole fam. I ain't trying to waste time. It's loaded, kicking back, smoking pine. Ask how I'm doing just fine. Bass is loaded. Ha, yep, cause we know them bases loaded. Oh, that Euro trance-ish kind of synth there is fun. You know, a little bit of a sharper synth texture in the middle when there's less vocals. Great balance. So much action in those vocals and the way they pan and the way they're popping.
Chill on the move just a moment in time. Moving the hustle a step at a time. Family around me and they ready to ride. Don't take no chance unless you ready to die.
So money and family is really, really important to Yung Dee. Kind of saying that people are in denial because everyone wants a piece of that pie, you know. Give me my crown. You niggas be pussies, just give them a gown. I'm steady repping my city, my town. They just be telling me I am the truth. Don't need a picture, they know I'm the proof. Straight out the jungle, we don't need a zoo. We don't need a ceiling, we don't got a roof. Woo! Base is loaded. I'm going for the run, I ain't going back to bro. Tell them ring the alarm. Base is loaded. Time to rise to the sun, I'll be gone all day. I'll see you in the morning. Base is loaded. Gotta stay on the grind, trying to feed the whole fam. I ain't trying to waste time. Base is loaded. Kicking back, smoking pine. Ask how I'm doing just fine. Base is loaded. It's nice to have that confidence here, the assertion that we have our bases loaded and we don't need anything more in life. We put the work in to fill them up. It's great. We're really not wanting to have space without the vocals. We're constantly putting them to the extreme left and right. Yeah, you know, that kind of stuff. It does make it more interesting because there is less kind of like space without that sort of main. You know, when rap and hip hop, it's common to have that the vocals as a focal point, of course. But yeah, no, that's fine. Those bases loaded. Yeah, I think we know what that track's about. And then we've just got Until We Bleed, track number 9 today. I was about to say track number 11. There's only 9 tracks in there. What am I doing? Nice short album though. I love the backing motif behind this. It's so cute with these extensions and those. I'm not sure what instrument that is. Is that like a synth or like a woodwind or something like that? With a huge amount of reverb on it?
Cause it might just make you live it, so pay attention. Take your shots and strolling down the memory. Class in session, hope that you will listen. Now let's begin it. You can have your people wrapped up in a minute. Times hard, they fading like some linen. Everybody pretending. Starting to understand the homie Kendrick. You ain't gotta lie just to kick it. End up shot like you Ricky. I'm blowing trees and sipping on this sweet.
I like that it's a little more. There's less of a relaxed flow to it. It's more percussive with the rapping in this section. It's a nice shift.
Chilling with the homies reminiscing. Now this is living.
Fantastic bass guitar motif in the nice legato quarter-minute technique.
Dash it through the sky, fuck the ceiling. Don't need permission. Do it till it's over and complete the mission. Know you gotta eat before it's dirty dishes. Till we bleed, till we bleed. Toasting to the life while we rolling up them trees. Till we bleed, till we bleed. Time to get it out the mud, better roll up your sleeves. Till we bleed, till we bleed. We toasting to the life while we rolling up them trees. Till we bleed, till we bleed. Time to get it out the mud, better roll up your sleeves. Smoking blunts, jamming R&B. Then I'm handling my business. I see.
It's such a chilled, relaxed vibe there until we bleed. It's like we accept the fact that we're gonna have to put some additional work in to get to where we need to be. I'm ready to make that sacrifice.
Though sometimes it be crazy, they question how I think. But I hold it inside, that's just my inner peace. Well, we moving on, another song. Riding out to the sun, I'ma just leave it alone. Gotta have patience, no need in throwing stones. They won't cry you a river, skipping another song.
I like the piano line behind it. It's very minimalist, you know. It allows for a lot of activity going on with the vocals. But if you have the piano come up too much or sort of be a little bit too technical, it can distract.
Let me change my undertone. I was raised in
Simple, easy to follow drum groove as well.
And as far as I remember, my niggas never froze. And as far as I remember, my niggas never fold. And as far as them digits, they continue to grow. Stack it up, my Pringles don't fold. Living lavish life like we in the centerfold. Crash dummies, we sending them straight up the road. Till we bleed, till we bleed. Toasting to the life while we rolling up them trees. Till we bleed, till we bleed. Time to get it out the mud, better roll up your sleeves. Till we bleed, till we bleed. We toasting to the life while we rolling up them trees. Till we bleed, till we bleed. Time to get it out the mud, better roll up your sleeves.
Yeah. I do like the sound of the plucks of the harp and the bass guitar on the low end. You know, it has, how do I describe it? You know, we'll let the song play out. Oh, some vocal chops in there. Nice and new addition. Because this, of course, is the end of the album. It's nice that we didn't feel the need to have vocals the entire time. Not that I mind the rapping and everything else going on, but just let it sit. Not bad, not bad. Because this is effectively my conclusion of my review of Dat Youngin Dee by Yung Dee. You know, we listened through Time to Eat, Bases Loaded, and Until We Bleed today. I think we've talked about what the tracks are about. I mean, Until We Bleed, I think, is about, you know, people who are working away, chipping away, going down their journey, whether it's Yung Dee talking about himself as a musician or everyone in general needs to, and sort of like, certainly like be on that grind. But that's basically it. I suppose in a way, it's meant to sort of be motivational, like with Bases Loaded, you know, where we're talking about having our family looked after and the money set and not being comparable to other people and stuff like that and getting to where you want to be in life. And Time to It, I think, was maybe Yung Dee going from like a kid to like an adult and things changing for him and things improving. I think this album is indicative of maybe Youngin Dee's progression from child to adult. And it makes me happy because I like it when people get to a better state in life through their work or anyway else, actually. However you get to a better stage in life, I'm thankful that people do, because sometimes people just don't get out of it. And so for an artist to, you know, write an album like this where they're sort of explaining their mindset and their expectations and their values and all that is kind of cool. You know, I know that should be something that I should be saying about literally every album, but that isn't always the case. Sometimes you have musicians reveal a lot with very little to sort of conclude from it. But with Yung Dee, I think we kind of got the picture, at least from the consistency of themes that we wanted to. Although, to be fair, there's another six tracks on this album if you want to go check them out after this review. So that I would recommend it at this point. I think Yung Dee is a great rapper. You know, he's got a really conversational, calm, eloquent tone to him. The words came through clearly and pronounced well. It was easy to understand what was going on. It's clear that he's been rapping for a while. You know, like there was a lot of polish to that performance. There weren't any obvious or glaring errors or mistakes or anything like that. There was a clear understanding of rhythm and music theory in that regard, with the way we switched between those 16ths and the triplets and the eighths and stuff like that. And we knew to sort of voice things slightly differently depending on what we wanted to sort of accomplish or get out. Like Until We Bleed was phrased differently, the bass is loaded, and then that again with Time to Eat. There were little subtle shifts there, I think, that helped to make them distinct. I'm not sure how much the changes in vocals necessarily affected how it related to the story, but I don't personally mind. It was more just a decision by Yung Dee as a rapper, I suppose, and that's absolutely fine. You know, all the backing additional overdubs of the vocals and the sides of the pan stereo field and stuff like that were great as well. They shifted around. Some were far back, some were like in like 50% range and such like that. Some were more 25. It was really cool stuff. You know, when I listen to someone like this, I think that if he had rapped just in the middle of the stereo field the entire time, I mean, like, to be fair, I think he double tracked most of the parts. But if I had had a center field focus for most of the time, it might have been a little bit sad, because now I know that you can do more than that. So that's really cool. I know that's equal parts a production thing, but it's still testament to understanding that we needed to do that in the first place. The motifs behind these tracks, I mean, at Time to Eat had like the Pac-Man synths and stuff like that, which I assume maybe like was like a reference to like being younger or something like that with like video games and stuff. Bass is loaded. That was more of a sort of like, I'm assertive and authoritative and I've got everything going with the drums and bass and everything like that. And Until We Bleed was more of a meditative thing, where we were sort of going over the sacrifices that we needed to make in order to get to where we are today, and to not take it for granted and to continue working at it. And we had a wide variety of instruments, you know, like synths and sort of stringed plucked harp parts and bass and drums and maybe some sub pads and all that. You know, I think the motifs, even though it didn't have massive changes with the chord progressions or bass responses, bass sort of lines, I think that was fine. I think that it wouldn't have necessarily been beneficial for us to have had massive chord changes or progressions or different shifts to those core concepts, because I think that especially if we wanted to keep a similar vocal style or like little bits of change between the hook and the verse, that's totally fine. Also, this is sort of rap and hip hop. Like a lot of the time we just do have that one core idea and we follow it through, and we just verbally riff on it, and that's absolutely fine. There's nothing wrong with that at all. The tracks were short enough where I don't think we were at a disadvantage because of that. I think that if the tracks had been getting on to 4 minutes, I would have wanted like an additional lead instrument or something different, like maybe another musician to come in for a collab or something like that. So I'm glad we understood to keep each of these tracks between that 2 to 4 minute mark, which is the entire album, to be honest. The entire album is 2 to 4 minutes, which is great. You know, we're aware of what needs to be done in that respect, and I think that's totally fine. In regards to what's going on with the structures of the tracks, typically we just had the verses and the hooks. You know, we didn't stray away too far from that path. I don't think that would have been a thing that would have bettered us again if we'd gone into like another interlude section and we were just telling stories basically. It was just that ABAB kind of groove there, or starting with the hook. We didn't need to overcomplicate it. Again, we did have points where the drums sort of came out a little bit, and we had just mainly those major or minor chords, triads, or little plucks or occasional little extra recorded bits on different textures and instruments, just to kind of give it a bit of space and dimensionality. And like when it did float without the drums, it was great. When the drums came in, it had a steady groove and was easy to follow. It's totally fine. There was enough contrast in there, not a huge amount, but enough to keep it kind of engaging throughout. And, you know, finally the recording, mixing, and mastering, you know, the production side of things. I think the vocals were recorded really well. The rest of the instruments, whether they be samples or recorded takes, were great. You know, there weren't any issues with the filtering or EQing or anything like that. I think that, you know, in terms of like the panning, it was nice and wide in the stereo field. Again, lots of cool stuff happening with those backing vocals and the overdubs there and how they go boom, boom, boom like that. You know, that's careful attention paid there in post. The, you know, the drums were nicely side chained to the bass, and there weren't any weird resonances in the frequency spectrum. And yeah, the vocal takes actually, aside from like filtering and EQing, were relatively raw, which I appreciate because you just get the sound of him as a rapper. And the limited compression on these tracks was basically where it needed to be. I'm not really sure what they could have done to improve these tracks. I think they're strong. I think it showcases what Yung Dee wants to do as a musician. I wish him the best of luck in the future, because this is effectively my review of Dat Youngin Dee from Yung Dee. Some tracks off of the album. Hopefully you enjoyed it. If you did, please do go show them some love via their various social medias and their Spotify page, and stay cool, stay safe, and please remember to support your local musicians and artists at this point in time, as either help more than ever with all the crazy stuff going on in the world, and I'll catch you in the next review. Spiderhands Out.